Welcome in the 6th section of our course. In this section, we'll be testing Apache Spark job. So firstly, we'll see how to separate logic from Spark engine. We'll see how a unit tests our code that will be then used by the integration test in Spark session. So next video will be about integration testing using Spark session. In the third video, we'll be mocking data sources using partial functions. In the fourth video, we'll see how to leverage Scala check for property-based testing for a test and types in Scala. At the end, we'll be looking at the testing in different versions of Spark. And this is a first video in which we'll be separating logic from Spark engine. So this is unit testing. We'll be creating component with logic and we'll be unit testing of that component. Also, we'll be using case class for model class for our domain logic. So here is a simple test, but firstly let's go to the logic. So we have a bonus verifier object that has only one method, qualify for bonus. It takes an user transaction model class. Our logic will be like the following. We want to load user transactions and filter all users that are qualifying for bonus. The first thing will be to test it, to just create an RDD, filter it, and that's all. But this involves testing because we need to create Spark session, we need to create data, so mocking RDD or data frame, and then testing whole Spark API. But this involves logic, and we want to test it in isolation. So our logic is like the following. We have a list of super users, A, X, and 100 million user IDs. If our user transaction user ID is within that super user list, and if the amount of transactions is higher than 100, then this user qualifies for bonus. Otherwise, it does not. In a real world, that qualify for bonus logic will be even more complex. That's why it's very important to test such logic in isolation. So we have our test that is using user transaction model. We remember that our user transaction has user ID and amount, and this is our domain model object that will be shared between Spark execution integration test and our unit testing separated from Spark. So we need to create our user transaction for user ID X and 101. Next, we are passing that user transaction to qualify for bonus, and at the end, result should be true. So this user should qualify for a bonus. But let's write a test for the negative use case. So we're testing that our user should not qualify. So if we have an user X, but it spends 99, then our result should be false. So let's validate. And it passed. So we can see that we covered 2 cases, and there was a lot more. So for example, if you want to test the case when we are specifying user ID without, not from the super user list. So not qualified to, and we have some new user, and it spends a lot money, but still it should not qualify. So we can see that such logic is a bit complex and involved. And because of that, we are testing it in a unit test way. Our tests are very fast and we are able to assert that everything works as expected without introducing Spark at all.